beautiful people. Pink Panther's here, and I am ready to roar. So today I wanted to talk about my story about being in a cult. So when I was 13, I met these youth pastors who turned into, eventually, my cult leaders. This cult was here in Arkansas, and it was run by Mark and Leslie Dollar, and it was called Adullam Youth Outreach at that time. I believe now they've totally dropped that name, even though, you know, they had a nonprofit organization certification through that name. I think they still do. And they made a lot of money off of me and all the children that were there, that were free labor, as well as a lot of other things. But, yeah, so, about a week ago, I did my first ever, recorded interview about my time at that cult and how I got there and all this stuff. It's on my friend Shannon's YouTube channel. I think her YouTube channel is called Shannon. I'll link that in the description box for this video. But she was in that cult with me, and you know, we've known each other for a long time. I think she said she got involved around 2007. I got involved in it around 2004. But regardless, so I've been knowing her since around 2007, and she's such an awesome woman, beautiful woman inside and out, and she's a licensed counselor. That's the word. She's a licensed counselor, and you know, she's come very far in her healing journey, and she has a lot of good wisdom and knowledge about the psychology side of these things. And you know, I know she's especially been interested in cults for many years and been studying that too, so check out her channel if you want to see stuff like that. She's got, you know, and she has a video talking about how this cult that me and her were in are related to another cult called the Ramp, which is where Mark and Leslie Dollar are now. They are they're up the butts of the people at the Ramp, right? And then the Ramp goes up to, I forgot what she said the name was of that church. Perry Mason, I think she said, yeah. And, you know, how it keeps going up and up and up, and, you know, I've discovered some things recently as a truth seeker about how it even goes up farther than that, like, far. You know, there's a reason why, you know, it's not a coincidence why, you know, all these Catholic priests get in trouble for molesting and raping little boys. And that, you know, that's Catholic Christianity. And I was in a cult that, that were at the very least grooming children, you know, and targeting children, abusing children, you know, in many different ways. It's not a coincidence, and you know, that's something I'll talk about soon in another video, but that's for another day. But so I was in this cult. I met them when I was 13, you know, and they knew how to play the game. They knew who they were looking for. They specifically say in one of their videos, which I'm going to react to soon, to the video that the interview that they did, because, you know, looking back now, it's so obvious all of the red flags that are like, why are you talking this way to children, you know? Like, so much inappropriateness. But, so yeah, you know, a lot of people would think, well, you know, why, you know, and I thought this about myself for a long time, you know, like, I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid and embarrassed that I had been involved in such a thing, you know, that I had allowed myself to be tricked by these manipulators. But, you know, it's a lot easier to get sucked into a cult than you might think, especially if you're a child. And, you know, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But, yeah, it's easy to get sucked into a cult when you're a child. And it's so funny because I had told my sister Sierra the other day, like, I had a realization, and I was like, you know what? I was like, you know, because I think this conspiracy goes up even farther than what I'm going to talk about today. But, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. I was telling my sister Sierra, I was saying, these people who, let me just say this, these higher up pastors and such in Christianity, you know, I feel like they're serving certain spirits. You know, I feel like they're talking to spirits, you know, but what spirits are they really talking to? And what are those spirits' intentions are for humanity, right? Because I don't think it is what we think it is, right? So I feel like these people in positions of power, you know, they knew, just like Hades knew that Hercules was coming, and Hercules could stop him, and he was scared. They knew that our generation was coming. You know, our generation of light workers and indigo children that are here to help change the frequency of the earth. They knew that we were here, right? So they knew that these chosen people were coming, right? And that's how I got sucked into this cult, because they would tell us, you guys are chosen, like, to help this generation. And, like, you know, I was ashamed for so long, but now I realize that that was honestly, like, a truth within my soul, that I knew that I was here at this time in this place to somehow be a part of helping humanity, like helping save humanity, right? And I felt stupid for believing that, but now that I've come back to myself, you know, and allowed my inner child to come back to me, I realize that that is the truth. And that's the thing that they do with cults, is that they suck you in, you know what I mean? They don't just suck you in with lies. They suck you in with the truth. They tell you, you're chosen, you're this and that, right? And they uplift you, right? But then after they suck you in, that's when they start twisting the truth and saying half-truths, and then just saying fucking flat-out lies, right? And it was so funny because I had told my sister Sierra, who was also in that cult, you know, she was in the cult. That's crazy too, because my little sister, you know, she always looked up to me because I'm so cool. I'm just kidding. I love you, Cece. But, you know, after I finally left this cult, she got into that cult, I think partially because of me. You know, I tried to warn her. I was like, no, it's not what you think. Please don't do it. But, you know, everyone has to learn their own lessons, their own way. But, yeah, I was telling her, I was like, that's how they got us sucked in, because they told us that we were chosen, you know. And it's so twisted, because this is how I know, you know, that they're, like I was saying, how they sucked us in with the truth. There is spiritual warfare. They would always tell us about, the spiritual warfare that's happening. And it's true. But it's just that they were on the opposite side that we thought they were on, you know? Like, they were acting like they were on the side of good, but they were on the side of evil the whole time. Right? But the truth in there that they twisted is that there is a spirit, there's spiritual warfare happening all the time. There's spiritual things happening around us all the time that we may or may not realize, depending on how in tune and how open we are to receiving that type of information. So, but, sorry it took so long, but I told Sierra, they told us that we were chosen, and that's how they sucked us in, because we knew that we were chosen for something, right? And they made it sound like we were like fighting for justice and love and everything and peace, and those are the words that they use, but in like helping people, but yet all we were doing was the opposite. And yeah, it was so funny. So I told her that day, I was like, that's how they got us, because we knew we were chosen to come here at this time. And the next day, or was it, sorry, yeah, no, the very next day, my sister started getting phone calls from star 69 numbers. And the first one said, and it was like in some robot or Darth Vader voice or something, and it said like, you better quit while you're ahead and leave Adullam alone. Like that's supposed to scare us or something. And then later that day, she got another call, and with the same weird robot voice, and it said, you are no longer chosen. Bro, what a crazy synchronicity, and like that's how I know, like that's how I know I can trust what my soul is telling me is true. That's how I know I can trust that my subconscious mind is telling me the truth, because your subconscious mind won't lie to you. If you ask your subconscious mind something, a genuine question, your brain will answer you in the truth. Right? And it's the same with your heart. If you're connected to your heart, ask your heart a question, it will tell you the truth. But yeah, so, like I said, I met them when I was 13. They got me involved in this, dance group that was called Remnant. There are videos of us dancing and stuff, and one of them was in Texas, because they were basically prostituting us around, like they were our pimp basically, of our dance team, and we would go all to these different churches, like we went to like Florida, we went to Georgia, we went to Texas, we went to South Carolina, we went to several different states, and, a lot of us under 18 at the time. And keep in mind, like, these dances, they may not seem like they're that hard, but a lot of them were pretty hard routines that, we would practice multiple hours, like, all the practices we had were multiple times a week, and the practices themselves were multiple hours at a time, plus our multiple hour performances, like pretty much every single weekend. And the whole time they're getting like their pockets stuffed with cash donations from all these churches we're going to. And they were picking out like we were going to some nice churches where you knew the people in there had some money a lot of the time, right? But yeah, so they would basically, they would take us across state lines and have us perform for them. And it was so funny. I was joking with Shannon the other day, because it was like, throw Shayna out there, because she'll start screaming and elicit an emotional reaction from everyone. That was like what they used me for. And they said that, that I had a roar that needed to come out. And that's why my intro is me saying I'm ready to roar, because, they tried to And that's another thing I was talking to my sister about, is because, like I was talking about in my other video, human beings, we are magical. We do have gifts of, we have psychic abilities and gifts, right? We have psychic gifts and abilities, right? And one of those abilities is like prophecy, like speaking words over people. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just like seeing the truth in someone. You know what I'm saying? So when they said that about me, that I have a roar that needs to come out, that was truth. And it resonated within my heart, because I felt like that's true. And, the reason that they would put me out on front, which I fucking hated. I never wanted to do the solos in the dance team, but they always were like, Shayna, do the solos. And, like, because, I like performing in groups, but as far as, like, solo performances, like, the whole time, I just felt like an idiot, because I was, like, screaming, and I just, like, keep my eyes shut. I couldn't look when I was, like, doing the solo parts. Like, whenever I was dancing, it was different, but with the group. But, like, when I was doing a solo part, because it was, like, dancing / kind of, like, some very, something minor that you would say is related to acting. Like, it's, like, telling a story, And so I would just have to keep my eyes closed, because I didn't want to look at all the people out there. And, like, because sometimes, like, there's a video of us at 220 at this church camp. That was, we were performing in front of, like, 500 people. That was a little nerve-wracking, That was a big crowd. I was nervous. But the reason that they would put me out on front is because they knew my energy, that I am able to make people feel things, good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, which I thought that I was using my powers for good, but it turns out I was using my powers for evil in the cult. I'm so sorry to everyone who I ministered to, who I led to Jesus. I'm sorry. But listen, they still were speaking the truth, because, like, that is a part of me. I do have this part of me, because, like, I'm able to feel what other people are feeling, and I'm able to take what I'm feeling and let other people feel that as well. And it's like a strong gift. But that's what they said, like, and that's why they said I had this roar, because I have this passion inside of me. That was also true. It's still true. Like, I have this, I'm not interested in things that I'm not passionate about. Like, I'm that type of person, like, when I'm doing different types of art, it's when I'm passionate about it. If I'm writing poetry, it's because I'm inspired in the moment, and I'm passionate about it. I don't just say, oh, I want to write a poem. A poem comes to me, and I catch it in that moment and write it down and put it on paper, or, in my phone or whatever. But I put it into work, and I capture it right then, and it's the passion, and sorry, I saw a squirrel. It's so nice out here today. But, because I would mix in that gift with this gift of making people feel the passion that I was feeling, And unfortunately, that gift was manipulated and used for evil. But, I'm reclaiming my gift. I'm reclaiming my abilities, and I'm using them for the powers of good. So I am taking back my roar. And Mark and Leslie, you can't have that. The only way you can have it is you can have it because it's coming at you. Rawr. Because we're going to get you. We're going to get you shut down. You have no power over us anymore. We're not afraid of you anymore. You're not giving us nightmares anymore. We're not letting you have any fucking power over us. We're not having PTSD triggers anymore. I hear your names, Mark and Leslie, and it does nothing to me. For many years, hearing those names would put me into a state of panic. It would put me into almost a different personality of being someone I wasn't. Almost like an alter ego or something that you created through fear and abuse and manipulation to a child. But guess what? I don't have that anymore. It's so powerful to be free. It's so fucking sweet to be free. To be free from fear. To be free from giving a fucking single fucking shit of what you think about me. What does Rick say on Rick and Morty where he's like, your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. Go keep cheering those people. Oh, the blood of Jesus. Do you even know what that means? I'll get into that in another video, I promise. But yeah, you know, it was a crazy experience. Sorry guys, I'm getting sidetracked here, but you know, they were very mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. Like I said, they would lure you in by lifting you up and speaking the truth about you. You know what I mean? And in front of your peers, you know, and it was a very it was a very yummy experience. I'm just kidding. It was a very sweet experience, you know, having an adult when you're 13 uplift you in front of other adults, in front of your peers, you know, and just telling you like how special and beautiful you are, you know. But then after they got us all sucked in, then it was every day tearing us down, humiliating us, degrading us, saying we have demons. Oh my God, you didn't wash the dishes correctly. You have fucking demons of laziness. How dare you take a fucking nap after you got up at 4 in the morning to go to the gym and then came here at 6 a.m. for Bible study and then went to school at 8 a.m. and then came home and had a 2 to 3 hour dance practice. How dare you take a fucking nap? Demon of laziness. It's so funny because y'all are the ones with the fucking demons, like the bad ones. You know which ones I'm talking about. The ones who like to groom children. Grooming for what? Maybe sexual desires you're having? Maybe some fucking unclean spirits? It's hilarious. You would tell us every day we had unclean spirits. Whenever y'all are the one predatorizing, if that's a real word, children. feeding on the energy of children like the fucking energy vampires you are. Bleeding us dry of every single fucking drop of magic that we fucking had inside of us so that you thought you could make us mortal. We're back to Hercules. But guess what? You didn't take the last drop. Remember on Hercules, the bottle. He didn't drink the last drop. So he still retained his godlike strength. So thank his lucky stars. That's right. You didn't get us. We still had that last drop. And over these fucking 10 plus years, we've been able to build that shit back up to our full magical potential. So that we're able to reclaim the power that you took from us. I know you tried your fucking best to curse us. You tried your fucking best to curse us so that we wouldn't have a good life, so that we wouldn't have peace, so that we wouldn't be happy, so that we wouldn't succeed. You tried your fucking best with your fucking spells and your witches, your fucking wizardry, you fucking witches. Black magic. Casting those spells, putting those words on us. Saying if we don't worship Jesus, that we're never gonna have a good life. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. That curse is broken. You have no fucking power over us. Your words, your energy, your intentions have no power over us. We're too fucking strong. Doesn't matter. It's just funny. But yeah, so, sorry guys, I'm getting a little excited. It's so nice to feel free. You have no idea, you know what I mean? Because the fucking limiters that they put on us, you know, like, if you watch my interview with Shannon, she talks about how, you know, I forget the word she uses, but it's like how effervescent I am now, you know, like my energy is so outgoing, or you know what I mean? I can't think of the word she said, but, and she was talking about how, you know, she got to see part of that when I was there in the cult, but not very much because I was so shut down. I was so, like, just a fucking shell of my true self. Ugh. And I love you, little Shayna, and I'm sorry that you were so not safe, that you felt that you had to be in that little shell. But guess what? I'm protecting that little Shayna now. And we don't have to be in a shell. I can be my fucking true self. I don't have to water myself down for anybody. I have to shut myself down for fear that I'm going to get hurt. Because I don't give a fuck what anybody like me or don't like me. That's fine. If you like me, we're going to have a fun fucking time, you know? But, yeah, so there was a lot of, you know, there was physical abuse too. They would like to, there was a bunch of teenagers there. We were like always wrestling each other. You know, Mark would like for us to wrestle each other. I like to wrestle the boys just because I was a tomboy anyway. So, but then sometimes he would make us girls wrestle each other. And, you know, we would, wouldn't turn out great. And sometimes the guys would wrestle each other and that wouldn't turn out great. And like one time, Mark MMA fought one of the boys that was there. And he fucking power slammed him on the ground outside because he got angry. Like at first it was all like, oh, we're just having fun. Which, by the way, what is your obsession with watching teenagers wrestle each other? Can you answer me that, Mark? Could it maybe be a similar reason why, even though we weren't ever allowed to listen to any type of secular music. We weren't even allowed to listen to country music. All we could listen to was Christian music only. But yet, you would go DJ for proms and school dances and play all that bootylicious music and watch all these teenagers dance with each other to sexual music. And I bet either you didn't get paid, or if you did get paid, it wasn't worth your time. Why are you so interested in that? And yeah, he got mad and like took off his sweater and fucking slammed that boy down. I saw his wife choke one of the boys there up against a brick wall. She threw a hairdryer at another girl. And then said that girl had demons for calling her mom to come pick her up. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah. And, you know, my sister Sierra talked about in her interview with Shannon about her story, how Leslie threw a big industrial-sized metal laundry hamper at her. And what's funny is she also did the same thing to me when I was there, because the dirty laundry wasn't separated correctly. Why does it make you feel so good to be mean and have power over children? Why does it make you feel so good? Could it be because you're weak and you're fucking gross? You're fucking gross, bro. You're gross. You're grody. You're disgusting. Ooh. I feel the winds of change. This rose bush next to me is blowing in the wind. But, yeah, Mark, why did you like to come up behind me and other girls there and put your arms around us and choke us in a headlock and tell us to tap out? And you knew I wouldn't tap out. You knew I wouldn't. Because I was a competitive tomboy. Duh. I'm not going to let anybody fucking beat me at anything, you know? That was me. And you would fucking choke me until I passed out. Because I didn't have any air. You did that to me. You did that to other girls. You did that to me so many times. You know, one time I was literally, you choked me until I passed out. I was like sitting on the ground and my body was convulsing. Sorry, that probably but my body was convulsing and I couldn't control it. And like, but my eyes were still open. Like I could see everyone around me and they were all like laughing. And like, I couldn't, like, I was like stuck in my body in this fucking seizure, basically. Why did that make you feel good? Maybe because you like being physically dominant over little girls? Because I was a little girl. And you were in your 30s. Right? A teenage girl. Let me say that. I was a teenage girl. Right? And, why did you choose certain girls, Mark, at night to come into the living room with you and watch movies that during the day would have been fucking forbidden because we weren't allowed to watch TV? Their children were allowed to watch stuff like Hannah Montana. You know, maybe I could catch a second or two of that while their kids were watching, but we weren't allowed to watch TV. Hell no. We could. Why the fuck would they let us watch TV? We couldn't even listen to any type of music besides Christian music. They were fucking isolating us. But anyways, it's like they had a handbook or something on how to brainwash children. But yeah, so, you would allow certain girls at night after your wife went to bed to come into the living room with you in the dark and watch doing something forbidden with you while you force us to massage your nasty ass callous feet with lotion. Make sure you get it in between the toes. Right? Right? You remember? Because I remember. I remember what your nasty ass feet look like and feel like. And so do many other girls, including my little sister. Right? Is that weirding anybody else out? Please tell me. Would you let your teenage daughter go rub fucking lotion on a 30-year-old man's feet in the dark at night while his wife is asleep? Seems fishy, doesn't it? Seems like grooming behavior, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. You're a duck, Mark. You're a duck. So are you, Leslie. But anyways, you know, why would you do that? And then your wife comes in and says she's jealous that you're in here flirting with us. And she uses the words flirting. She says it outright. And then you're like, oh, it's okay, honey. I'll be right to bed. Haha. And then when she leaves, you're like, I'm going to stay here and hang out with you little girls. With you teenage girls, and let you keep rubbing this lotion all over my feet while we watch movies together in the dark. Hee hee. And then after Leslie finally comes in multiple times and tells you, begging you to come to bed, which we all know exactly what that means because you make it very known to us that y'all are having sex. You make it very known that y'all are doing it. We can't talk about sex to each other. Oh, let me fucking humiliate this teenage boy for masturbating, but yet, and put a fucking clear shower curtain in the boys' dorm, give them no privacy, take away all of their dignity, right? Having them sharing beds together, having us teenage girls sharing beds together. You know, but yet y'all can talk about how, oh, Leslie's her whole testimony is, I've had sex with over 50 men, at least it was in the beginning, and then it was, oh, I've had sex with over 100 men, blah, 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 blah. But then talk to us at your house about how you don't believe in oral sex, you don't believe in anal sex. You say that that's demonic and evil, and that the only appropriate sex between a married man and a wife is penis, vagina, and that's it. And you're talking an awful lot about sex, right? And Mark is even telling the boys, Leslie won't suck my dick. Why would you tell it to a teenage boy? Leslie, why would you tell these teenage girls, you know, be talking specifically about oral sex and all of this thing? You're not our mom. As much as you want to say you're our mommy and our daddy, right? Because in that fucking video that I'm going to react to for you guys, Mark just keeps saying how, or Leslie keeps saying how Mark's a daddy. Oh, he's just a daddy. That's weird. You're not talking to little elementary school kids. You're talking to teenagers. Why are you calling him daddy? But anyway, sorry. Back to the whole foot lotion nasty ass shit. Then after you get done with having us all massage your feet while you're flirting with us and laughing at us and probably getting your rocks hard. I meant to say rocks off and getting hard at the same time. Sorry. But yeah, then you get up and insinuate to us, basically, you know, you're not saying the words, but, you know, I don't remember exactly how you would put it, but you're insinuating, okay, I'm gonna go fuck my wife now. And make it a joke, a secret sexual joke in between us. Ha ha ha. It's so funny. Mark joked with us about sex. But yet, if we ever were to talk about sex, we're a whore. It was a weird whole sexual culture going on within this cult. And that's something that I really wanted to that I'm planning on talking to Shannon about. Like, Shannon and I are planning to do a video soon where we're going to be talking about their weird views on sex. Because that's another thing that I was so ashamed of for, you know, believing, you know, but I have to say the truth of what they fucking brainwashed us with, what they told us that Jesus was our lover, right? This is the fucking truth. They told us basically not just to love Jesus, but to love Jesus in a romantic way. Because Jesus is our lover. Because the church is the bride of Christ. So we are the wives of Jesus. And if we have sex outside of marriage, we're cheating on Jesus. These guys, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Strike me dead right now with fucking lightning if I'm lying. No? Isn't that weird? Why would a pastor, a youth pastor, be mixing in some weird twisted sexuality with the fucking theology that they're teaching to teenage children, who they are grooming? I know you're smart and you know the answer. But yeah, so I was there till I was 20, actually. You know, I had wanted to leave for many years before that, but I was highly involved in the youth group ministry. You know, I've always loved singing, and that's also one of the ways they sucked us in is through music, you know. Because like Shannon was talking about in one of her videos, you know, coming from this small, poor area, I had never been to a concert before. I didn't go to my first concert until I was an adult. You know, I'd never experienced that before. So, you know, music is magical. You know, music is magic, and it can be used for good or bad. You know, we all know that. We know that music can be used to uplift you and make you believe in yourself, you know, but it can also bring your frequency and vibe down. You know, if you're listening to all this, oh, I fuck bitches, or all these girls, oh, I'm a hoe, you know what I mean? It's like, music is powerful, and they were using music to basically, like, hypnotize us, get us in this trance state, you know what I mean? And they would just be saying like, I feel like kind of these cliche things that, you know, because they knew who they were targeting. In this video that I'm going to show to you guys, they specifically admit that they moved to Arkansas because it was a poor area and they wanted to minister to poor children, right? They had a specific target audience in mind, and when they came here, they knew exactly who they were looking for. And they say in that video, they talk about, like, while they're doing worship, and they've got all these kids, you know, using this music in this frequency to make kids feel emotional, right? In touch with their emotions. And then they say, hey, and that's how they say in the video, oh, anyone who doesn't have a mommy and a daddy in the home. That's how they say it now, because they've gotten so far that they don't even realize how weird they sound anymore. But, you know, at the time they said, is there anybody in here who has the original mom and dad in the same household? And only 2 people raised their hands. And they talk about it in that video, which they're exaggerating and saying there were like 200 kids there. Bullshit. There was maybe like 50 kids there. They exaggerate everything. But yeah, I do remember that there was only 2 kids that raised their hands, and they were from the same, you know, they were brother and sister. So they were targeting children from broken homes. They were targeting children in a poor area, right? Why? Ask yourself why. Why would they come from, oh, they supposedly say this fucking 2,000 member youth group in Georgia, I think it was. And they gave it up because they felt called to come here. And then they're like making fun of Arkansas accent. Oh, we want you to come to Arkansas. Shut the fuck up, Leslie. You're from Arkansas. So acting like you're better than us. But anyways, you know, oh, sorry, sorry. Did you catch that, Leslie? Did you catch that, Mark? My nose was itching. Sorry. Oh, no. Yeah, sorry. But, yeah, so I had felt, you know, really drawn into the music aspect of it because, you know, I've always loved to sing. And, you know, I realize now as I've been healing, the reason why that was so, you know, brought me in so much is because even now, you know, I like to, sometimes when I meditate, you know, I like to make up my own song and let it flow through me of like what I'm feeling in the moment. And, you know, that's just a part of like my personal magic that I like to do. Oh yeah, and I forgot, I was in Walmart yesterday. And I heard that Bruno Mars song, which is a really creepy, fucking creeper song. And it's all like, it's like, oh, you young wild girls, you make a mess of me. Oh, you young wild girls, you'll be the death of me, the death of me. And yeah, like, I was like, oh my god. That's totally, jacket's messing up. That's totally Mark's energy. Like, yeah, it's weird. But you know what? I've changed the lyrics, so here you go. All us young wild girls will put a stop to you. All us young wild girls, we're coming after you to make you stop hurting little children. You know, and that's something that they would do sometimes during their worship music, was they would just kind of flow and just go off the cuff and like make, you know, they might start with a certain song, but then they would make things up as they went along. And you know, I had just started being on when I was like got into college, I guess, my first year of college, I was brought onto the worship team to do that, to help the middle school kids, you know. And at the time, like, at the time, even when I left, I was still brainwashed. I was still a Christian. You know, I had knew that they were full of shit for a long time. Like, I knew that they were fucking hypocrites, and, you know, that I didn't ever want to be around them ever again. But I was still brainwashed into the Christianity part, and, you know, so I was doing all this stuff with the helping with the middle school kids, and I was going to college at that time to be a middle school teacher. That's what I wanted to do. You know, and I knew that if I moved out of the cult, that I would get kicked off of doing that because Mark was also their youth pastor. You know, he was in charge of everything. And at that time, I still also enjoyed the dance team because that's another, it's, you know, another thing. There were parts of it that, you know, people say, oh, how did you get involved into a cult? Because there were some times that were great. You know, like, I loved the dancing. I loved performing. You know, the people who were there, my friends, I genuinely loved them. You know, I still love them. I still care about them. You know, even like their children. I still care about their children. I still love their children. You know, like they're my own siblings. And I really hope that they will be free from that tyranny someday. I believe they will. But, you know, there were some good things. You know, you're not just going to stay somewhere like that if it's all bad. You know, what they do is that they give you a little bit of good, and then they overwhelm you with the bad, and then they give you a little bit of good, and they overwhelm you with the bad. But yeah, so, when I left, you know, they were very hateful and went around talking negatively about me and everything, which I expected. And, you know, after that, after I left, I became an alcoholic for 10 years, and I was, you know, a drug addict many years in that as well. And it wasn't even like part of it was like unconscious or subconscious, I'm not sure which, but a lot of it was conscious. Like, I wanted to forget about them. I wanted to forget, like, when I drank, I didn't drink to have fun. I got drunk for the first time ever in my life after I moved out when I was 20. And when I tried it, I realized, you know, this is something that can help me forget. This is something that can make them go away in my mind for at least a little bit. And, you know, because that's why people are addicts. That's why people drink, is because of the trauma. They have a trauma. You know, I'm not going to say all people, but I would say pretty much the most fucking majority of people, you know, that have been addicts, that have been alcoholics. They are that because that is just a symptom. The addiction is just a symptom of the trauma. The trauma is the root issue. And for me, that was the mental, emotional, psychological abuse and brainwashing from that cult that I was in, Adullam Youth Outreach, ran by Mark and Leslie Dollar. But, you know, and I feel like that's what they wanted. You know what I mean? Like, they wanted, like, that fear of them to control us, you know, the people that left. And that fear did control me for a long time, you know, because I just didn't want to face it. You know, it was so triggering for me. Like, my first session of therapy I ever had immediately diagnosed me with PTSD, because every time I would see a white church van, like the ones that Mark drove us all around in, drove us across state lines and drove us here, there, pimping us out in, was a big white church van for a long time. We had 2 of them. Every time I would see one, I would have like a panic or anxiety attack, and I didn't know why. And the first therapy session I had, she said, that's PTSD. That's a symptom of PTSD you're experiencing. And, you know, I had thought that was just for, like, soldiers who had been in war. I didn't know that, you know, that was that was even possible. Like, it wasn't a thought in my mind. And, you know, but over the past few years, I've been sober and regaining my power, rediscovering who I am, not who they programmed me to be, not who they wanted me to be, not who I shut down, not the parts of me that I shut down because of them or because of other traumas in my life, you know, but the real me. And, you know, oh, beautiful blue jay. You know, now they don't have any power over me anymore. And I believe and I hope that, you know, if anyone's watching this, thank you for caring. Thank you for caring about my story. And if anyone's watching, please don't just take, you know what I mean? Don't just take my word for it. You know, which I think that you can tell from my energy that I'm being genuine. But go listen to Shannon's channel. Go listen to her story. On Shannon's channel, she has stories from me, my sister Sierra, my friend Dylan that was there. I think she's going to be having a few more videos from other people that were in the cult as well. And if you believe that we're telling the truth here, please stand with us and help us to get these horrible people shut down so that they can't affect, so that they can't control, so that they can't hurt, manipulate, brainwash, fucking traumatize any more children. Okay, because I'm here to help the children. We're here to help the children. And all you other fellow starseeds and indigo children also know that same shit, that we're here for the children. We're here to help the children. Because it's been long enough. It's been too fucking long that children are getting groomed. It's been too fucking long that children are getting touched. It's been too fucking long that children are getting raped. It's been too fucking long on this planet. It's been happening systematically. And again, I'm going to go into that in another video. But, you know, help us put a stop to this shit. Help us make this earth a safe place for the children. Because they're all the children on this planet are all our responsibility to keep them safe. We have to do our part. So this is just like, this is just like a small scale example of the things that are going on, but not saying that it's small, just saying like this is like a local, let me correct myself, a local example of how, no, because it's not a small scale example. Ignore that. Strike that. Reverse it. This is a local example of how this shit, this fucking pedophilia is trickling down from the very top all the way to the fucking very bottom, to the local shit. And we're gonna put a stop to it, okay? I love you guys. I'm sorry I've blabbered on so long. If you stay till the end, you're amazing. I love you. I love all of you. Believe in yourself. Have a nice day.